We all know the sensation. You finish a long day, sit down, and suddenly realize you've been operating on autopilot. The days start to blur together, and a quiet sense of exhaustion hums in the background, making everything feel slightly out of focus. Almost instinctively, we reach for the phone. We look for a distraction to fill that void, letting the constant flicker of the feed pull us from the discomfort of a quiet room. We tend to think of this as a way to turn off our brains after work. But while we're scrolling, we're actually paying a quiet, heavy price in how we experience our lives when the screen goes dark. This pull to keep swiping isn't a sign of a weak character. It's a specific, predictable response to how our biological reward systems have been targeted. Our brains are wired for protection above all else. They default to a state of high vigilance, a survival mode designed to keep us safe by avoiding anything unpredictable or unknown. This mode manifests as a baseline level of anxiety. It makes the silence of an empty afternoon feel like a threat, pushing us to find something, anything that feels familiar and safe. An infinite scroll provides exactly that, a constant stream of low-stakes information, where everything is easy to consume and nothing is truly unexpected. It satisfies the brain's craving for safe stimulation. We end up trapped. The brain's attempt to protect us from the stress of the unknown is the very thing that keeps us in a state of constant, low-grade numbness. This creates a specific chemical imbalance. Usually, when you put effort into a task or a workout, you receive a gradual reward of dopamine, a steady climb that leaves you feeling satisfied and motivated. Digital feeds deliver effortless dopamine. These are sharp, vertical spikes in brain chemistry that require no work at all. But every spike is followed by a crash that drops your mood lower than where it started. When the brain gets used to these artificial highs, it raises the standard for what it considers pleasurable. Eventually, the normal, quiet moments of life, like a conversation or a walk, fail to register at all. To fix this, you have to cut the supply. You have to force the brain to endure the boredom it's been running from, so it can recalibrate its baseline. This recalibration happens most effectively through a total removal of digital noise. It requires spending 3 full days completely unplugged in a natural environment, away from any screens. For the first 48 hours, your mind will likely fight back. You'll feel a restless, phantom urge to check your pocket, and the silence of the woods might feel irritating or even stressful. But by the 3rd day, something shifts. Without the artificial spikes of the feed, the brain starts to notice smaller details, the texture of bark, the rhythm of the wind. Your ability to focus on a single thought without distraction begins to return. This shift demonstrates that the numbness isn't permanent. When the brain stops expecting an instant hit of noise, it naturally starts to find satisfaction in the environment actually in front of you. To maintain this clarity back in the real world, you can use meditation as a strategic tool. It's about spending 15 to 20 minutes daily simply observing the flow of your thoughts without reacting to them. You aren't trying to clear your mind, you're practicing the act of surrendering that inner chatter. This creates a mental space that isn't reactive to every passing impulse or notification. This deliberate quiet acts as a bridge. It allows you to stay connected to a calmer, more consistent source of energy, rather than relying on the frantic external stimulation of your phone. This daily practice ensures the mind stays anchored, preventing it from slipping back into that defensive, survival-based state of constant seeking. Once the chemistry is stabilized, the focus moves to how you handle the mundane parts of the day. This is about bringing that same presence to the slower pace of actual reality. Instead of rushing through a meal or checking your email while you brush your teeth, you execute these tasks with full attention. You notice the temperature, the taste, and the physical sensations of the moment. When you anchor your attention in the present, the feeling of wasted time disappears. You stop living for the next hit of distraction and start actually inhabiting the life you're currently in. Your physical body, with its instinctual survival mode, is like the hardware of a mobile phone, but your consciousness, the part observing your thoughts, is the SIM card. We spend all our energy feeding the temporary phone, leaving our true awareness starving for real connection. Lasting satisfaction doesn't come from fixing the hardware survival instincts. It comes from learning to identify with that inner awareness that exists independently of the scroll. The final transition involves a commitment to discipline, an intentional decision to abandon the habits that keep you tethered to a screen. When you actively protect your mental environment, the old cravings for cheap dopamine lose their power. They don't have a place to take root in a mind that is already full and present. You move out of a reactive, survival-based existence and into a state of sustained clarity. You find that your capacity for genuine interest and satisfaction in the world around you has returned. The cost of the infinite scroll is your attention, which is the only thing you truly own. By reclaiming it, you stop just surviving your days and start actually living them.